Hello darlings, Marianne here from Southern California talking about past lives, and the topic today is anxiety. Now Tony Robbins says that this is the number one emotion that people have. The most common emotion today in Western society would be anxiety. Now, don't have to go into detail to explain why that is. Obviously, everybody knows we're spread thin, we're all busy, yada yada yada, right? So I won't go into all that. I'm not here to tell us why we're anxious, but there's other causes also for anxiety, like if you've had past trauma, which most of us have, like I've said in my intro, whether you've watched that or not, but I'll give you a brief summary of what I said there, and that is, for example, if you've lived 100 lifetimes, now within that 100 lifetimes, you've probably had at least a few of those lives. Say if you had 90 lives that were pretty good, right? But 10 of those were very traumatic for different reasons. And I'm being conservative with these numbers, okay? So 10 of these lives were quite traumatic. You've had all sorts of losses and tragedies and traumas and maybe abuse or some violence, against you or what have you. Well, this is going to cause some stress to linger in your subconscious. So what needs to happen is you go back and you review, or it doesn't need to happen, but it can happen if you choose to go this route with this mode. And this is why I love it, because what happens is you go back and you review some of this old trauma, and it will make perfect sense even right away as to what you've gone through, because it'll make sense as to who you are today and what you go through, what your sensitivities are and your triggers are now in this lifetime. And that's what it's about. It's not really about going back and seeing who you were in a past life. It's more about clearing your current traumas and your stresses and your anxieties and your whatever it is that you deal with. So everybody's got certain weaknesses in certain areas, and if anxiety is yours, well, first of all, welcome to the club. It's just fear, basically, and most of us here on earth in this dimension are going to struggle with a lot of fear. But if you have anxiety to a point that it's really affecting your life on a daily basis, then I would really encourage you to give this modality a try. And you're welcome to reach out to me or find a regressionist in your area. But there's a lot of really good reasons why you would have quite a high level of anxiety. Just think about what your anxiety is particular to. Like, we all have certain trigger points. Like, some people are very anxious about fear around loss, or say something happening to their kids or their animals. I have animals, I don't have children. So, I can get quite anxious about my animals, crossing the street or playing outside or whatever. Things like that. I mean, whatever it is. Or some people get very anxious around money. There's a lot of fear around money. Some people have a lot of fear around being alone, or not having enough to eat, and having a roof over their head. That's very common. I mean, a lot of us have spent other lifetimes in a lot of struggle and a lot of poverty. Some of us have had starvation in other lifetimes. Some of us have been homeless, been imprisoned. All kinds of things have happened to us. So whatever your trigger points are, what tends to sort of freak you out or worry you, is probably for a really good reason, and that is you've probably had that happen in the past in another lifetime, and it's actually even possibly ended your life. Say a food issue or starvation, if that's a trigger for you. Like, if you get quite nervous around money when it comes to food or not having enough or scarcity, that's a really common trigger point for people, because it's a really important thing to have in your life is food. And if you've had other lifetimes where there hasn't been enough of it, then that will be a really big trigger for you in this lifetime. And what is really cool about this work is if you go back and review that past life and understand and see that, yeah, maybe it was a real issue to the point of maybe, end of a life or that sort of intense suffering, well, it'll just calm you down in this life. It's this incredible thing that happens, and that is your subconscious is able to, bring it up into your conscious mind. Well, more like your conscious mind is able to sort of assimilate it and understand, okay, this happened to me in a past life. That's why I'm so nervous around money or around scarcity or around food or any of these things, is because, I died in the potato famine in Ireland and, whenever that was, 1500s. Anyway, so there's a jolly good reason why we are the way we are. And this can help just ease anxiety in a big way. Like, for example, I've done a lot of these regressions myself, and I didn't even think I was that anxious, really. Like, it's funny, you just get comfortable, you just live with something, and you just think, well, this is just how I am. And then you start to see a real easing of your nervous system, and it's amazing. And you just think, wow, how did I live so long, stressed out and freaked out all the time? And then, you just sort of ease up and you just lighten up, and you see, wow, I've lived, many times before, and I've died in those lives, because we all die. And then, here I am again. So you understand, you start to see firsthand that, oh, you come back. You don't die. There is no such thing as death. There is no real end in that sense, other than we do change form, and we do go to other dimensions, and we do go to a resting place in between lives. And then ultimately at the end we get to not have to keep coming back here, because we've learned all our lessons and we've woken up completely, and we're reached sort of this enlightenment phase where we have gone back to our natural state. And that's really what it's about. It's returning to our divinity, which is our natural state. So that's what we're doing here. That's what we're up to. That's why it all feels a bit intense, is because the soul is supposed to be learning something and growing here and letting go. And that's the biggest thing I would say to someone with anxiety, is it's really about letting go, because what we're hanging on to is old data. It's old information. It's old experiences that have happened to us, and we're still, when we have a charge around that, it's easy to say, "I'll just let go." But once you've reviewed, then you're able to let go of this stuff. So give this modality a try. If you want to reach out to me, that would be great. Would love to work with you. If you're in this area, you can come and see me in person. If you're in Southern California, I'm in Orange County. Or if you're anywhere else in the US, then we can work on the phone. And even if you're in another country, we can possibly work something out if the time zones will, allow. So my contact details are on my website. That is maryannerodgers.com, and that's MaryanneRodgers.com. And I should be able to put a link below, so you can get to my contact details. Best way to reach me is through text message. And if you're interested in these videos, feel free to subscribe. I'll have different topics ongoing, and want to cover as much as possible just to get this information out there, because I really believe this is an amazing way to heal any issue. And it's good for kids, it's good for anybody. Even if you think you're too old, or you're stuck in your ways, there's no such thing, because you're a spirit, you're a timeless, eternal being. So there's no such thing as age. You know what I mean, in that sense. So anyway, it's all good, my dears. Lots of love, and I'll be talking to you soon. Okay, take care.